Level 1, the Scout. You're 17. You live in a city that doesn't care about you. Not a metaphor. Literally, the pipes in your building leak brown water. Your mother works double shifts at a textile factory. Your younger brother shares your bed. You're not angry at the world, you're just hungry. That's the first thing they look for. Not violence, not stupidity, hunger. The man's name is Armen. He's maybe 40, clean nails, quiet shoes. He sits at the table next to yours at a tea house in the outer district, and he doesn't look at you like a mark. He looks at you like an investment. He asks what you're doing with your life. You tell him, not much. He nods like that's the right answer. He tells you he has small jobs. Observational work, you count people. You note what cars come and go from a medical clinic near the freight corridor. You report back to a number on a cheap phone. $50 the first week, $80 the second. You're not thinking about what the clinic does. You're thinking about your mother's rent. This is how it works. They don't recruit criminals, they recruit people with expenses. The clinic isn't a clinic. Not really. It's a collection point, a screening location. They run blood tests on people who answer a certain kind of classified ad. The ad says, paid medical study, all types, no questions. But there are questions. You just don't know what they're looking for yet, and Armin never tells you. He doesn't need to, because at level 1, you're not in the machine. You're just the eyes, small, deniable, disposable. And the thing about this level, the thing that keeps you there, is how normal it feels. You're counting cars. That's it. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt yet. 3 months in, the phone rings at 2 a.m. Armin says, come to the clinic right now. Come alone. You go. You shouldn't, but you go. Level 2, the recruiter. The room inside the clinic is small and fluorescent. Armin is there, 2 other men you haven't seen before, and a woman, late 30s, who introduces herself as a doctor without saying where she studied. They don't explain everything, they explain just enough. Your job now is to find people, specific people, healthy, young, financially desperate, isolated, meaning no family who will make noise, migrants, undocumented workers, people who've answered debt consolidation ads and found nothing. You bring them to intake appointments, you tell them it's a study, you tell them it pays well, you tell them it's safe. You're told to tell them that this is the moment, right here. This is the moment that every prosecutor later talks about in a courtroom, because you knew at this point something was wrong. Not everything, but something. The compensation they're offering these study participants is too high for a blood draw. The NDAs are too aggressive for a vitamin trial. And the doctor, she looks at the people you bring like she's looking at parts of something. Not people, parts. But Armin hands you an envelope with $300 and tells you that you're family now, and you need that $300. So you make the call you'll never be able to unmake. You stay. The second person you recruit is a boy you went to school with. His name is Danny. He's 20. Recently lost his factory job. He has a daughter. You don't tell him what you know, you tell him it's safe. 6 weeks later, you ask Armin where Danny went. Armin looks at you like the question is strange. He got paid and moved on. He says, stop asking questions like that. You never see Danny again. Level 3, the logistics runner. 8 months in, they give you movement. You drive a van. Sometimes it carries people, sometimes it carries cold packages in sealed containers. You don't open the containers, you know better. You move between 3 cities along a freight corridor that spans 2 countries. You know which checkpoints are paid off and which ones aren't. You know the shift change schedules at border control. You know which truck stop has a parking lot where no cameras point. You're not a trafficker, you tell yourself that. You're just a driver. But the thing about driving is the silence. Silence lets your brain catch up to what your hands are doing. And in that silence, you start doing math. The containers stay cold, the people you move are sedated, told it's travel medication, and they wake up somewhere else and then they're gone from the record. You've driven this route 11 times. You've carried, by your count, somewhere between 30 and 40 people. You know what a kidney is worth on the secondary market. You know what a liver segment is worth. You were never told any of this, but you're not stupid. Month 10. A checkpoint that was supposed to be clear. It isn't. A new officer. Young. Doesn't know the arrangement. He wants to open the van. Your heart is doing something terrible in your chest. You hand him a document, a fake pharmaceutical transfer, manifest that Armin had printed 3 months ago, just in case. The officer studies it, 27 seconds, you count them. He waves you through, you drive for 40 minutes before you pull over and sit with your hands on the steering wheel, shaking like something broke loose inside you. You could have quit that night, you had enough money to disappear. Instead, you called Armin. He said, good, you handled it, come in tomorrow. And you did. This is the psychology they count on. The near miss doesn't push you out, it locks you in. Because now, you've survived something. You've proven you can hold your nerve. And that feeling, the adrenaline plus the relief plus the envelope Armin gives you the next morning, it feels like something. It feels like you're good at this. That's more dangerous dangerous than the checkpoint was. Level 4. The broker's assistant year 2. They pull you off the van. You've been promoted. New city, new apartment, not yours technically, but you live in it. New phone, new name on a set of documents that cost more than your mother makes in a year. You work directly under a man named Vasile. Vasile is 53, Romanian. He has the kind of quiet that comes from having done terrible things for a long time without flinching. He dresses like an accountant. He is an accountant, the criminal kind. He matches buyers to supply. That's the language. Buyers, supply. Never patients, never donors, never victims. Buyers, supply. You learn his system. Requests come in from clinics in 4 countries. Private clinics, underground clinics, one legitimate-looking hospital in a city you won't name, where a surgeon asks no questions if the paperwork is clean. You manage the documentation, you prepare the files. You learn which blood types command what prices. You learn that a healthy kidney from a 22-year-old male in good health is worth between $100,000 and $200,000 to the right buyer. You learn that the person it came from received between $2,000 and $5,000. You learn to file that math somewhere you don't look at. Vasile is arrested, not for this. For a tax fraud case from 6 years ago that finally closed. He's in custody for 9 days. During those 9 days, you find out, through a contact you've made in the legal system, that Vasile has been talking. Not about organ trafficking, about you. Specifically, your van routes, your name, one of your real names. He's trading old information to protect himself on the new charge. You don't panic. You've been around Armin long enough to know what panic looks like on people right before they disappear. You go dark, you move hotels, you call number 2 levels above Vasile that you were given 6 months ago and told never to use unless. This is unless. The number picks up on the second ring. A woman's voice, calm like weather. She says, "We know, it's handled. Stay at the Meridian. Don't leave the floor." Vasile is released on bail 4 days later. He drops the conversation about you entirely. You never find out exactly what handled meant. You're smart enough not to ask. But here's what changed. Before that phone call, you worked for the machine. After it, the machine worked for you. You had used the number you had held up, and somewhere above you, someone had noticed. Year 3. You have a salary, an actual salary, deposited into a company account in a jurisdiction with favorable privacy laws. You have 2 phones, one for the life your family thinks you have, one for the life you actually have. You have a contact at a consulate. You have a lawyer who doesn't ask and doesn't want to know. You have a problem sleeping. Your operation covers sourcing, vetting, transport, and partial distribution across a regional network. You work with 6 recruiters below you, people who don't know your real name. They know a number and a protocol. The buyers are not people you meet, they're institutions. Intermediaries, a clinic coordinator in Western Europe who fills a request form that looks like a catering order, a private surgeon who bills wealthy patients $250,000 for a transplant and splits the back end with your network. You're not in the room when anything happens. You haven't been in that room since level 1. That's the point. But isolation starts here. Real isolation. Not loneliness, you're surrounded by people. Isolation from reality. You stop being able to have a normal conversation. Your brother calls to say he got a job, and you sit there listening, holding a phone that smells like the Meridian Hotel, and you realize you cannot remember the last genuine thing you said to someone. You have a girlfriend who thinks you work in pharmaceutical import. She asks why you never sleep through the night. You tell her it's stress. She believes you because she wants to. You let her believe it because you need someone to. Power crack. A file crosses your desk. It's a source file. A recruiter sent it up through the wrong channel. A mistake. The kind of administrative error that happens in any organization. The file contains a name, an age, a photograph, and a blood type. The age is 16. There's a protocol for this. You know the protocol. The protocol is flag it, return it, note the error. You stare at the photograph for a long time. You flag it, you return it, you note the error. The file goes back down the chain, and you never find out what happened to it, but you know. And the knowing, that's the thing that starts to eat. Level 6, the regional coordinator. Year 4.5, you've been moved up again. Not because you asked, because the man above you, a Dutch national named Henrik, was involved in a dispute with a partner network in Southeast Asia and had to be relocated in a way that wasn't his choice. Relocated. That's the word they use. You don't ask where Henrik went. You now oversee operations across 3 regional cells. Each cell has its own logistics chain, its own recruitment funnel, its own surgical contact. You are the connector, the router, the person who makes sure the 3 separate systems never accidentally see each other, and that if any one cell is compromised, the others remain sealed. It's the same concept used by intelligence agencies. You learned it from a man who used to work for one. The money is significant now, not nice apartment, significant. You have a property in a coastal town you visited once, you have a legal import business that runs at a small loss, and that your accountant calls a write-off. You have a third identity that is cleaner than the first two. You have everything you cannot tell anyone. A cell in your network collapses, police raid, 6 people arrested, 2 recruiters, 3 source contacts, 1 local logistics man. None of them know enough to trace back to you. But one of the arrested is a recruiter named Marta, 26 years old, single mother. She got into this the same way you did, through a man with clean nails and quiet shoes who told her it was observational work. She's facing 8 years. Her daughter is 4. You could send legal support anonymously. You have the infrastructure for it. You don't. Because sending help creates a thread, and a thread can be followed, so you do nothing. Marta gets 7 years. You move to the next agenda item, and something finalizes inside you. Something closes. Level 7, the network enforcer. Year 6, the woman who picked up the phone during the Vasily situation. Her name is Serena. You've met her in person now, 3 times, always in transit, always briefly. She runs the top. She doesn't run you, but she watches you. And she's given you a secondary role, internal security. When someone inside the network creates risk through carelessness, greed, or the wrong kind of ambition, you are part of the response. You don't carry weapons. You don't have to. You carry information. You can redirect a supply chain in a way that leaves someone suddenly without income and without protection. You can flag an identity to an authority in a country where the person they're looking for has a warrant they don't know about yet. You can make someone understand through a single brief conversation that disappearing voluntarily is the better of 2 available outcomes. A broker named Femi, Lagos-based, excellent operational record, 3 years in your network, has been running a side channel, not just side business. He's been in communication with an investigative journalist, not a law enforcement contact, a journalist. Which is, in some ways, worse. You find out because Femi made a call from a device he thought was clean. It wasn't. You sit in a hotel room in Lisbon, and you look at the transcripts for 45 minutes. Femi hasn't given location information. He hasn't given names. He's been careful. He thinks he's building an exit strategy, evidence he can trade if things go wrong. He doesn't understand the network well enough to know that the network already knows. You call Serena. She's quiet for a moment. Then she says, "You know what needs to happen." You do. What happens to Femi, you don't need to narrate it, but he's gone. And afterward, you sit in the same hotel room for another 2 hours. Not thinking, just sitting. The paranoia is total now. You trust no device. You trust no relationship. You run every conversation through a filter of, what does this person want? What do they know? What do they cost? You've been doing this so long, you've started doing it with people outside the network, with your girlfriend, with your mother when she calls. Everyone is a variable. Everyone is a potential threat. That's not psychology anymore. That's damage. Level 8, the Syndicate director. Year 8. Serena steps back. Not retirement, a restructuring. She moves to an advisory role after a coordinated law enforcement operation. Interpol, in partnership with 3 national agencies, dismantles a parallel network operating in South Asia. That network isn't yours, but the pressure spreads like a gas. And in that moment of restructuring, you move into the center. You are now the operational head. 4 regional coordinators report to you. An estimated 11 active cells. Revenue that you don't fully count because counting it clearly would create a document that could be found. You have a legitimate business empire that is genuine enough to have employees who don't know anything. You have a foundation, a medical humanitarian foundation, because of course you do, that has won 2 small NGO awards and whose website features photographs of children. Level 8 is unstable because level 8 has too many moving parts. You're no longer in control of the machine. You're just the most responsible person on it, and responsibility is a different thing from power. Responsibility means when a cell coordinator in Eastern Europe makes a mistake that costs 3 lives and surfaces a police investigation, it comes to your desk. Responsibility means when a surgical contact in a Southeast Asian city starts extorting the network for a larger cut, you have to decide. Responsibility means when your own logistics chain, SARM, starts to show a pattern that an analyst, the right analyst, could begin to connect. You lose sleep in a way that is different from before. Before, you lost sleep about what you'd done. Now you lose sleep about everything. A journalist, not Femi's journalist, a different one, a woman, Dutch. Published work on medical trafficking networks in 3 respected outlets. She's publishing something in 6 weeks. You don't know how much she has. Your intelligence contact says probably not enough for prosecution. Probably. You have a meeting with your 3 closest coordinators. The meeting is about the journalist. At the meeting, you realize, for the first time clearly without the ability to file the thought away, that at least 2 of the 3 people in the room have done a version of this calculation about you. The same calculation you're doing about the journalist. What does this person cost versus what do they protect? You look at the 2 men across the table. They look back at you. Everyone smiles. The machine is now pointing at itself. Year 9. The journalist publishes, it's less than you feared and more than you hoped. No names, no confirmed locations, but a structural description of how a certain class of international network operates. The compartmentalization, the financial routing, the medical contacts, that is so precise it can only have come from someone who was inside. Someone you haven't identified, someone still inside. The investigation that follows moves slowly. Investigations like this always do. They gather quietly, they don't show themselves until they have enough to close everything at once. You've known this for years. You've built the entire network around this knowledge. And it doesn't matter, because the thing about a network built to survive investigation is that surviving investigation is not the same as surviving forever. You start moving assets. Then you move yourself. Then you move your identities. Cycling them faster now, which means burning them faster, which means you're running through infrastructure that took years to build in a matter of months. The foundation shuts down quietly. The import business transfers ownership. Your girlfriend of 4 years gets a conversation you've been rehearsing for 2 weeks. You tell her you have to go. You tell her it's work. You tell her she'll be fine. She looks at you like she's known somewhere underneath everything for years. She doesn't ask where you're going. She doesn't want to know. In month 3 of the investigation, your Eastern European coordinator, a man named Dragon, is arrested. Dragon knows enough. Dragon has been arrested before. Dragon, unlike Vasile, has been smart enough to maintain documentation over the years. Documentation he kept as insurance. The same way Femi tried to. The same way everyone eventually does. The night you learn about Dragon, you're in a hotel room. A good hotel room, quiet, high floor, city lights across the window. You sit on the edge of the bed. You don't panic. You've spent 9 years training yourself not to panic. You sit very still and you do the math. Dragon's documentation, plus the journalist's structural analysis, plus whatever the 3 agencies have been building in the background. The math is not good. Option 1, run. Deep run. New continent, new identity, surgical alteration if necessary, dark years. Option 2, something else. The thing Serena always called the final arrangement. You know what it means. You've always known. Option 3, the option you haven't thought about since you were 17. Sitting in a tea house hungry and a man with clean nails sat down beside you. Walk away. Except walking away from this is not a thing that exists, because you are the network now. You can't leave something you are. 6 weeks later, in a city in Southern Europe, a man matching your description is detained at an airport. The documentation he's carrying is excellent, not quite excellent enough. He's held for questioning. The questioning goes on, and the men and women asking the questions keep bringing in new documents, new cross-references, new photographs from places you were and shouldn't have been traceable to. And the thing you spent 9 years building, the perfect distance from everything, the layers and the compartments and the clean hands, and the medical foundation with the photographs of children on the website, it collapses. Not dramatically, quietly. The way things that were always going to end, and in the room, the white room, the fluorescent room, the room that smells like nothing and sounds like nothing, you sit across from a prosecutor, and you think about Armin, clean nails, quiet shoes. You think about what Armin saw in you. Hunger, just hunger. Somewhere in the outer district of a city you've never visited, a boy is 17. The pipes in his building leak brown water. His mother works double shifts. His younger brother shares his bed. He's sitting at a table in a tea house, and a man sits down beside him. Clean nails, quiet shoes. The man asks what he's doing with his life. The boy says, not much. The man nods like that's the right answer. He's not recruiting a criminal. He's recruiting someone with expenses. And the machine moves forward, exactly as it always has, exactly as it always will.